welcome back to the channel. Thank you for stopping by again. Oh, I really appreciate you stopping by. You could have been doing anything else, but you came here, so you know what time it is. Let me please introduce myself, just in case you don't know. I am Lewis Porter Jr., and I gotta tell you, after our last video, we had some people who felt a certain way about me and my channel, and I always tell you, hey, bring me that negative energy. I love that energy. Bring me that heat. So today I had to go with another great one to ask you another tough question about yourself as an artist, and let's just call it like it is. And the title of this is, when compared to other artists, how good of an artist are you really? That's a tough question. How good of an artist are you really? So a lot of you out there are like, oh, I'm good, but I'm like, no. Let's not waste our time and trying to get us a feel-good moment. Let's get to the hardcore facts. How many of you out there can raise your hand with reasonable personal assessment of your skills and say, yeah, I'm probably in the top 50% of artists out there? How many can do that? How many? Now, how many of those people can actually say, I'm probably out of the top 20% of the best artists in the world? How many of you can say you're in the top 10% of that? Now, before you start raising your hand at these numbers, let's really think about this. To be in the top 50%, how good do you have to be? Top 50. Let's say, I'm going to guess you have to be as good that you can make a full-time living at this. You know, that's reasonable. Oh, no, I won't even say full-time. Let's say part-time living. Let's say part-time because that's a fair amount. That makes a fair amount. It's easily respectable. Yes, I am within the top 50%. No one's going to freak out. No one will be like, oh, okay, yeah, all right. But let's move up the scale. The top 20%. How many of you think you're that good? Top 20%. What do I think would be in the top 20%? Well, you've got to be doing this full time. This has to be how you're gaining your income where you pay for your life. This is your first and usually primary source of income. Now, you may not live a lavish life. You may not be living the greatest, but you can definitely pay for yourself. You can live, you can pay rent, maybe a mortgage payment in certain situations, but you make enough money where that you can pay for yourself or whoever you have. If you have children, whatever. If you can pay for that, that is all involved with that. Let's put that all together. So you can pay for yourself, family members, whatever. Top 20%. Top 10%. Now here's where we gotta be really precise. So the top 10% of the guys who work full-time, who are well-known, who are well-respected, who make an incredibly large amount of money doing art. Let's keep it real. We're talking about these guys probably, honestly, you got to make at least $200,000 doing art. And a lot of you are freaking out when I said that. $200,000 doing art. You got to. We're talking the top 10%. Boom. And a lot of you are like, well, no, that's not fair. I'm like, I told you, top 10% in the world. Well, let's be a little fair. Compared to other comic book artists, where do you see yourself? But if I compare with all the artists in the world, that's not fair. We're talking about comics. We'll say the top comic book artists. So that'll give you a little more advantage. Do you think you're in the top 50%? You got to have a freelance gig at this. You got to spend at least, I'll say, 15 to 20 hours a week working on this. Yeah, 15 hours is real. Yeah, 15. Okay, I would be fair. Let's say 10 to 15. Top 50%. 10 to 15 hours per week working on this. Or you make enough money freelance that you say you make a couple $100. Let's say $200. How about we'll say $300 a month or less? I'll be in the top 50% if you can do that. I think, like I said, not a lot of time. It's 10 hours, $300, so it's $30 an hour. Do you do that in a month? $300 in a month? That would be part-time. So let's jump up to the top 25%. Top 25%. It's got to be full-time. Full-time gig. Full-time gig that pays for you and another family member, well, at least children. So let's just give you a crazy number. We said 300 is at 50%. And we'll do full-time. Let's say you got to make at least $600 a week doing this. $2,400 a month minimum, 25, we'll round up, That's what you got to be in the top 25%. You making that much? You doing that much work? You work that good? How many hours is that? So we're talking that's a full-time gig. So let's say you got to work at least 30 hours at it. 30 hours at it, get at least $600 a week or $2,500 a month. You in that top 25%? I gotta wonder. There's a lot of you out there saying, hey, I don't get paid enough for what I do for work. So I'm like, okay, let's get to the real nitty gritty. Let's get to what really matters. How much money you're getting paid. And a lot of you are saying, well, I'm getting underpaid. Well, I gave you some numbers. I gave you something to work with. I gave you some opportunities that you can base some things around. So you tell me, where are you in this as a comic book artist or manga artist or RPG artist? For those situations, for anyone in those kind of fields, how good are you? How much money are you making? Now, you don't have to tell me. Just tell yourself. Are you in the top 50%? Top 25? Top 10? Top 5% of these type of artists? But you need something to compare it to. Who would be in the top 10? I mean, top 10% of artists. Okay. Jim Lee is on that. Yeah, Jim Lee's in there. Jim Lee would be there. Top 10%? No problem. Top 50%? Top 50%. I'm going to say something that a lot of people are going to freak out, but when they think about it, they're like, oh, he's probably right. Top 50% of artists, Rob Liefeld lives in that space. I know a lot of you are freaking out right now, but let's be honest. He might be a horrible artist, but he keeps getting work. Say what you like, he's gotten work. If you're better than Rob Liefeld, why haven't you gotten more work? I mean, I'm sure most of you can draw feet, but still, he keeps getting gigs. So then, where are you? So maybe you're not in the top 50%. Not in the top 50%. Oof, I don't know. That kind of surprises me. But you got to wonder. The guys at Marvel will probably be in the top 25%. I mean, even the lowest of Marvel artists would be at least in the top 30%. And if we all agree that certain artists are horrible artists, like Rob Liefeld, sorry Rob, nothing personal, so then why aren't you doing better than he is? And if you're making a lot of excuses for yourself, what's the real question you're trying to tell yourself? Are you really that good, or you just been hyping yourself up? Talking to all your friends, listening to all that stuff. People make fun of Rob Liefeld all the time. And they go, he's a horrible artist, but he keeps getting work. I remember when Rob came on the scene in the late 80s, and I thought his art was garbage. Nothing has really changed in the, when I think about it, 30 years. 30 years of him doing. Nothing's really changed. His artwork is basically the same. Not very good. But he's been able to have a career for that long. And a lot of you are saying, well, he just got lucky in the 90s. That's right. He got lucky in the 90s. So let's just say he got lucky in the 90s. Let's go all the way to 2000. He got lucky. He's still been working in the industry since 2000. It is now 2021. He's still doing work in the industry. I don't know how, but he is. So what's your excuse? Why aren't you doing better? Why aren't you up there? Why aren't you at least 50% as good? See, this is the moment you can ask yourself truthfully. Now, you don't have to admit it to me. Just admit it to yourself. If you're better than Rob Liefeld, why aren't you doing books? And for all those people who are saying, well, I don't really want to be involved in the corporate, don't give me that garbage. You want to eat, right? You like eating, right? So don't sit there and tell me that you wouldn't do art full-time making real money if you could. We all know we would. We'd all do the thing we love if they paid us for it. Hell, we do it for free anyway. If someone's offering to pay for it, that's an added plus. So I'm just going to wonder why so many artists out there think you deserve more money, but you don't think you can do as well, if not better, than Rob Liefeld. And I hate to keep bashing on Rob like this, but God, man, we all know he's not a good artist. And there's a lot of bad artists who get work. Lots of bad artists get work. So the question I got to ask is, why aren't you doing better? Do I think I'm in the top 10% of role-playing game companies? No. Do I think I'm in the top 50%? Oh, yeah. I make a part-time living at it. I make more than the number I suggested. I do very well. But once again, what's my end goal? Am I trying to be the world's greatest game designer? No, this is a hobby for me. I enjoy it. It makes me money. But based on the numbers, I make that 50% number. So I'm good. But some of you out there talking like you're going to be the next big thing, but you ain't doing nothing. I mean, you talk a good game, but you ain't really working that hard. I just got to wonder, you got to ask yourself the question, how good of an artist are you really? Now, before I get finished with this, some of you guys are screaming, oh, this is clickbait. It might be clickbait, but it might be the truth. And that's the worst part. If it's the real hardcore truth, a lot of you guys aren't ready for that. Some of you right now are hearing this and thinking, I need to stop. I mean, he's right. Are you faking it? Or are you actually doing it? Because a lot of you guys are faking it. So I'm trying to find out who's really faking it and who's really doing it. And like I said, you don't have to tell me. Just look at your work. Look at the quality of your work. Look how long you've been working at this and ask yourself the question. Compared to other artists, how really good am I? Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I will talk to you all later. Hey, thank you for checking out my channel. Do me a favor, check out my other videos. And if you like what you see, subscribe.